This should be up on YouTube. Let me pull this up just in case we have anyone in the chat on YouTube. One second. Okay. El Chapo, yeah, it will be up on the YouTube. It'll be up on the YouTube. Didn't say hey Jetsy. Bro, why are you calling me Clutch? Why do you call me Milkman, bro? What the fuck is that? Okay. You guys are crazy. Chelsea. I've been alright. I need to make a YouTube video on let me pop this out. I need to make a YouTube video on a little update on my status. But yeah. Let me go through Trader View. Okay. So what was okay? I didn't review done. 380 risk plus 1600 4.4 R 382 low volume node after previous 0.5 fib reaction scaled after dump and then trailed 5 minute, then down to 1 minute because 5 minute and 3 minute was so big. Okay, yeah, no, that's valid. I think that's a valid way to trail. Why did this do this? I think it's a valid way to trail. I like the risk up here. Once this breaks that low with a strong candle, I want to see that. Yep, okay. Good adjustment, Dylan. Yeah, I think that's valid. I think that's valid. When we have a crazy dump like that, I think bringing it in on 1 minute, 3 minute makes more sense than using the 5 minute, unless you're going for like a crazy trade. But yeah. El Chapo, you sent me a message. I'll have to check. GC short at high range, wait for break of upper band, targeting a lower one. Gonna take partial at POC. Scale 2 cons at fuel up plus POC, trailed. Cut out 3771 at lower band. Okay. Upper band. Okay. So you scaled at POC and VWAP. This was at, so you shorted. Let me get GC up. Okay. This was in London. GC short, high range. Let me just do this, because this will be easier. Ooh. Okay. So you shorted after break of lower band, or upper band. Okay, where did you get short? You got short at 78. So on 5 minute. What time is this at? Okay, so we shorted here. Yeah, I think it was a valid short. Down to lower band. This bounces off that lower band. Hits. Okay, I think that's clean. GC shorts, looking for London orb double break. Okay. If you're trading the London orb double break, I don't trade the orb double break until like 7 to 9 a.m. Right? So, just a note. Okay, and then we shorted this again. This is on 5 minute. Okay, so you're here. I think this entry might be a little late. Also, I don't know if like this first band break, I don't know if this first band break is going to be valid or not. Right? When it comes back, like I would personally like I would wait for this to reject. I would have tried to get in up here because we've rejected here in Asia. We rejected here between London and Asia. I'd try to be getting in up here for this trade. When this breaks below that lower band, right, and then it bounces up, now I would short again up here, right, because this breaks that lower band and then it bounces back up. So I would have waited on this one. I'm assuming you got stopped on this. Yeah. Trying again. Low volume node, value area high, 786 fib, London or double break, scaled one at POC and VWAP, stopped in profit. Okay, yep, this is where I would be taking it. I think you can enter a little earlier up here. Once you see that first rejection candle, that's where I would take it. What is orb? Orb is first 15 minutes of a range. Okay. Yeah. This looks clean. This is the short I would have taken. Pre-market GC short minus 780. Saw price reject out of this value area high and resistance level multiple times in past at 789 or 786. Some previous downtrend. I see bearish reaction off value area high and entry short. I was up unrealized 1.2 R before it made a bullish reaction at VWAP. So I cut it short at break even. Okay. No, I think this is a valid trade. Plasma. I think it's valid. I think it's also valid that you cut it because this tapped VWAP and then bounced immediately. This is kind of a crazy spot to get in. Like when I see a candle like this with long wicks on both sides, and like if I'm looking at that and I'm like, I can't read this, I don't want to trade it. I think it's a valid trade. And I think it's valid to cut it here. 0.5 from swing low, and there was low volume as well. TP hit on new combine for 1.5k. Sniped the entry. Stop was moved to break even on the screenshot. TP in the same candle low. Probably my biggest trade point wise in the 30-second trade. Okay, so this is NASDAQ. This was at... Okay, so it was right here. Yeah, it taps that lower band and then just reacts immediately. This is a snipe, bro. Jack, this is a snipe. Something about VP volume profiles? Is that what you mean? Yeah, let me get through trade review first. This is a snipe, Jack. Clean trade. Good management on that. I would tighten it a little bit more if it's getting up close to there. Just make sure you're securing like 500 on that. But that trade happened so quick that you didn't really need to worry about it. Woke up late, so traded demo. GC long off 382 reaction. Strong 382 reaction, which aligned with value area high of the range, upper VWAP band as well as New York session VWAP. Should explode to the upside after this. Okay, so you got in at 784. It looks like this candle. Yeah, this tapped that upper band and then ran. I'd be kind of iffy on this trade just because this London low didn't sweep, right? This London low has a pretty high probability to sweep, but if you have low risk on this, you have 210 of risk. I would look for this to at least push this high, right? So you could squeeze a couple more points out of that. And if it looks strong, just adjust on the 5-minute. You don't have too much risk there. I know it's a demo trade, but I would look for that high. I would scale at that high and then see if it can run. Wait for retrace at fib level in low volume area. Enter 1 on 380. I set break even fast. Enter again at 0.5 fib. That matches with touch at EMA 200. Exit on the next high. And the other on 0.2 my fib level. Okay, so quick trade here. I'm assuming you got stop break even on one con. And then you entered again. This is on NQ. Yeah, so this looks like the same trade Jack took. And then this stalls out. This has to be on, yeah, it's on the 1 minute. Yeah, this is kind of sketchy to trade to me, but I mean it looks like it worked pretty well. Yeah, this is really noisy. It's kind of hard for me to trade this. There's also a massive gap on TradingView for some reason. I think this is a fine trade, as long as your risk is tight, which it looks like it is. And then you just TP'd. Yeah, I think that's a fine trade. First trade, I took entry from low volume node after we saw side liquidity, targeting VWAP for the take profit. Second trade, shorted from VWAP, took partials around IB low. Track my stop loss afterwards. Okay. I like the scales on this. And then you TP'd at that VWAP. On Top Step X, right? Guys, if you're trading on Project X and you're using a VWAP, the VWAPs are wrong. The VWAPs are wrong. Use TradingView for your VWAPs. For some reason, they're off. I'm also not sure if this is... What time is this at? UTC plus 2. I don't know what time that's at. But you caught the reversal as well. I like the scales on this. I think it's clean. Yeah, the 8 EMA is right. Guys, I'm gonna answer questions after I get through trade review. Bias was bearish after pre-market highs got tapped. I was gonna wait for inverse and short, but I guess I didn't see ES sweep out its pre-market highs and create an SMT because I was on gold. I'm gonna get 3 charts on my screen now. Anyway, waited till that short played out. We found rejection on 5-minute previous day. FEG got liquidity. Got swept to the downside. There was an inverse Insight should have taken it, but I waited for more confirmation. Still got a banger entry after rejected off 1-minute bearish FEG. And Q longs, 2 columns, 10 to 12 point stop. I think caught about 60 points. Profit plus 2K. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the purple boxes, but yeah. Okay, so you're on 1 minute. I'm assuming 24. 547. Okay, so we caught this long. This also taps into a support area, right? And it pretty much it bounces pretty cleanly off there. So yeah, I like this. I'm wondering. Okay, so we got in on the consolidation here, and you took scales. If you're taking scales, my one thing is if you're taking scales, right? If I scale out at 83, right? If I take one off at 83, why am I taking the next one off at 87? That, like, if I'm scaling that close together, right? And, like, there's no reason to take this off, even on, like, a 1 minute chart. That's a gigantic candle. If I want to take one off at the 80s, I think that's fine. I just adjust my stop up to this previous like bullish close, and see if we can run up to VWAP, because you left another 60 points on the table, right? With one con, that's $1,200. I think it's a good trade though. Okay, yeah, and you had your stop adjusted. Wait. Oh, you had 3 on. Oh, okay. Gotcha. And then that last one was running. So you ran at 65. This ran up to... Okay. Yeah. I just wouldn't scale as quickly on that. With 2 cons. But yeah, I think it's a clean trade. And the management's good too, Tenzuma. I'd say it's... Yeah, as we're getting up to that VWAP, I would get tight with it. Especially if you don't have a specific TP in mind. But, yeah, clean. NQ short win, New York session. After IB set, I wasn't really sure about shorts because we bounced off high volume node, but retraced. I had too many confluences to skip the trade. I was targeting mostly IB low, but I saw we kept bouncing off value area low. So I ended up scaling 2 cons there. And after a minute, I ended up closing the whole position because I saw on Bookmap that big seller didn't hold. So it didn't make sense to me. Okay. I think it's valid. 0.5 New York VWAP, overnight VWAP, value area low of a big volume profile I have, low volume node. Okay. Yeah, I think that's valid.
Okay, so we get short as it comes up to this VWAP.
Good entry. I like the sizing on this too. Your stop should be brought in as well, in my eyes. Okay, you adjusted the stop. I would just bring it to the top of that 5 minute, that strong 5 minute. And then, yeah, once you see this pushing, then that's when I would bring it to that consolidation high. Right? When I see this pushing, okay, where are we at? Okay, so I would bring my stop to here, right? Once I see, okay, we based out, there's this consolidation, we wicked out of the consolidation, then my stop's here. Right? As this moves lower and it looks like it's going to push that low, my stop is at the top of that push. Right? I think it's a good trade. But yeah, I just changed the management slightly. So I was consolidating FPG, got 21 points, then got stopped out. This entry's too low. This entry's too low. Also, if it's gonna go, like if I got in off this candle, again, this stop should be adjusted to the top of that area. Typically what you see in consolidation is like when this candle starts to, like this looks strong to push the lows, right? It's gonna snap it. It's just gonna dump right through it. But yeah. Took a long on MGC from 0.3, got him a little bit late since I was working, but price still ran to TP, solid execution. Entered another long from 0.5, but got in early and was stopped. Good idea, but patience on entry could have made a difference. Re-entered long from 0.5 once conditions lined up again, and this time ran to TP. Ended up 700 takeaways. Entries were on right levels, but timing needs refinement. If I wait for confirmation instead of rushing in, I can avoid unnecessary stop-outs. Overall, strong day with good recognition. Clutch, you've been doing really well. I think this is that the first trade? 32. Okay, your fib's anchored right this time. Your fib is anchored right this time. Okay, it taps that VWAP too. I think this entry is a little late, just because we are buying it like after this wick out. I just think it's a tiny bit late, but if what I've noticed on gold is if you see this wick on the 5 minute, right, and this is at, I'm assuming this is at, this is right here. If you see this wick out on the 5 minute and it doesn't start printing a red candle, I think like typically you'll see it start to run. So I think getting in here, not ideal, but I think it's fine. What I've noticed is like the 5 minute, you'll have a wick, but you'll still have a body on the candle. And then the next candle, if it's in the same direction, that's typically the breakout candle. Bro, stop calling me milkman. What the fuck does that even mean, bro? Okay. Yeah, and then I would just have my stop slightly below this upper VWAP band. If you're trading on Top Step X, you can't get those VWAP bands. But I would just have it slightly below that upper VWAP band, which you do. 778.6. Yeah. Okay. Then this runs. So I would, this is like, if I was taking this, let me just do this on replay mode really quick. Okay. Let's go back to this candle. If I enter here, right, if I enter on this candle, my stop's going to be below that upper VWAP band. I would probably even put it on this 5 minute candle body, right? And if I'm shooting for TP, it's either going to be up here or it's going to be like at this extension level, because that's also 3800, which is a big psych level, right? This first candle comes out. Okay, cool. Next candle. Okay, now I adjust to this wick, right? I would wait for the, like, I wouldn't adjust my stop until I see this is back up at these highs, and I like this wick. right? So once that comes out, then I would adjust my stop to the bottom of this if my TP's higher. Good trade though. Took one short on MNQ, 0.5 rejection, entered a bit late since I was working, but price moved cleanly to TP. Solid recognition of rejection and momentum. Takeaways, A+, main area to improve his entry timing. Yeah, okay. One more trade away from passing second demo challenge. Thanks, Milkman. Jesus Christ, bro. Yeah, the entry is late. You already noted that, though. I think that's a solid trade still. Combine 4 and 5 gold yesterday. I tried to long but close too early on the live. Yeah, that's my bad, Alize. That is my bad. We closed that right as it pumped. Yeah. And then tried 2 shorts. First one probably should have closed early. Once I seen the market structure shift, and second New York Open was just complete wrong bias. Thought we were going to go short, but I was wrong. Okay. Yeah. Let me go through this. Okay. Yeah, I think this London trade, we shouldn't have closed this. We shouldn't have closed this. That's my bad. But, yeah. I didn't like this candle, bro. Or I didn't like this candle. I didn't like this candle. I should have just held it. When it was supporting this VWAP, I should have just brought the stop up, honestly. I think that first one's fine. This one, I think this short's still valid. I don't think there's anything wrong with this short. This was in the upper end of the range. And this is on 5 minute. Yeah, upper end of range. It looks like it's starting to reject. I think this short's fine. It's about timing. And then this New York Open. I wouldn't have tried this. Like, this area, there's too much of a mess going on in here. So I think the first trade, that's my bad. The second trade, I think is valid. I would take that trade. The third trade, I wouldn't take this one. Yeah, we got 800 of drawdown left. How many contracts are you trading with? Where would the third... Okay, you're trading with 4 markers. Okay, I think that's fine. On the third trade, I wouldn't long this until I see this come down and test this upper VWAP band. Like this, it's too messy here. And I want this London Lotus sweep, right? So this is going against my bias. And this is messy in here. Then you get that pop up. I would see when this comes down to this upper VWAP band. Alright, this is the fib I would take. When it comes down to this upper VWAP band in the 618, how do we react here? So I think the long in here, right? I would try it here. Yeah, and if you're trading inversions, like this is your inverse. I would just see if it sustains at this upper VWAP band. And then if it sustains, then I'm going to look for the long. If this fails at this upper VWAP band, then I'm going to look to play the shorts. Clutch, if you're feeling confident, I would try a combine, but if the combine doesn't go well, then go back to demo, all right, and do the other 3. Okay. Let me read chat. I think it's either. I think Dylan's is clean. Jack, this is clean. It just happened very quickly, and I'm gonna adjust this. Like you sniped this entry, high key. I think Dylan's a solid, bro. Okay. Let me go through chat. And then let me check the YouTube chat as well. Connell, yeah, it's still in the plan. I need to script it. Okay. Okay. I need to get that script done, but it's still in the plan. Let me see. What is this topic about? This is just, it was trade review, and now free sauce. All right, you guys can ask questions. No, Adrian, you didn't. I'm glad that course wasn't a waste of 500, bro. We would have had to fight the milkman. That's crazy, bro. No, I think there's good info in the course, bro. It's just like you just needed some guidance. That's why I reached out and I was like, hey, let's do a one-on-one. Asia Gold examples. Okay. Proper value area, high and low. What do I look for in sessions? Asia Gold examples. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start with what I look for on sessions, because Smozzi's asked that earlier. And then I'll go into volume profile. And then I will go into Asia Gold. Okay, so what I'm looking for on sessions. So are you talking about gold or are you talking about NQ, bro? Which one do you want me to go on over? Because if I'm on gold, it's different from if I'm on NQ. GC, they react differently? Yeah, they do, right? Alize, it's recorded, so you're fine. NQ? Okay. NQ. Right. I haven't been trading NQ too much. For NQ, I'm looking for like IB to hold. If I'm looking at like here in Asia typically I'm looking for consolidation, right? Sometimes you do get those expansion moves, but if I see this, right, this looks like it tapers out. It hits this 0.5 fib. Or it's a 618. It hits the 618 fib and then it starts moving down. I would look to short this in this somewhere in this area or on this retest, right? Or short this in London if I'm awake. If I take a lower time frame fib from Asia to this London area, this comes up to the 618 again. So I'd look to short this up on this retest if I'm trading London. And then this grinds all the way down. So for sessions, typically I'm looking for higher time frame moves. And then I'm just using the IB to help with my bias. So like if I'm looking at this area, right? So we have this support area. I don't think this broke. In my eyes, this didn't break because we didn't get a close below it. And the reason I'm taking this support area and not this one is this is highs from FOMC. This is also where we started to break out from. So like that's why I have this zone marked out. I know if you're like an ICT trader, right, you just mark out the order block, right, like this entire thing, but that's going to be, you've got a 250 point range. I'd rather keep it tighter, so I'm using the structure from pre-FOMC, and then this includes the FOMC highs, so I'm cool with that. So as this pushes down into the support zone, I tried this long, right? I tried this long on stream. I got stopped out on it, but it was the right trade to take, right? I was looking for the IB to make its high second. So once this starts to rally back up, I have the orb on here. I need to get rid of it. Let me put the IB. Once this starts to form this clean rally, this is going to break the IB high and then hit upper end extensions. But yeah, that's like, it depends on the day for specific sessions. Here, like this New York IB, right? This is on the 45 minute. This breaks the low, comes back up to this VWAP 0.5. I'm looking for shorts here. When this doesn't head towards the low, like this should, off this reaction, right, we should hit the lows. And that's what I would look for here, if it's going to go, it's going to hit those lows. It comes back into that support level. It bounces, comes back up to this 0.5. I would try this again, but just for a short scalp. Like, I wouldn't... When this is bounced out of the support area, to me, this is going to reverse. Yeah, so for sessions, it's different. Like, typically, New York, I'm just using the IB to guide me, and then I'm using, like, higher time frame analysis to, like, get an idea of the IB before it even sets. Like here, if I'm looking at this, right, we're rejecting off these highs. In London, we come up to the 0.5, we start to reject. New York, we open up, we reject immediately. I would look for this to head lower as well, because we haven't tapped these FOMC highs. That's what I want to see. Volume profile, I'm going to go over it in a second. What's different on it on GC? On GC, I mean, I'm still using higher time frame analysis for it, but I think with GC, like if I'm using GC, I'm heavily using a volume profile, so I can use higher time frame analysis on this, right? So if I'm looking to set up this volume profile, and like look where we rejected on Friday too, value area high, right at this value area high, we start to stall out and then we reject. So if I'm seeing this stall out and I see this pushes up towards the highs and then you get this strong rejection candle, I can take this when it retests this value area high and take the short down to VWAP. But if I'm looking at, I want to get rid of this. Can this click? Okay, cool. If I'm looking just in terms of sessions, right, on GC, I want to see a London double break, right? The session high and the session low. I want to see it double break on the orb for like the first 15 minutes. And that's based off this stat. Right? This is based off this stat. So this is GC first 15 minutes, 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. Typically there's a double break between 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I'm trading towards, like if I look at this, right? We break the high, we set the low earlier. This starts to reject. I can take the short here down to this low. Or I can try the short up here. This is a value area high in there. Here, this doesn't play out. So I would have probably looked to short this here. When this short doesn't start playing out down towards that low, it's probably not going to hit. And when we're looking at these statistics, we have to understand that there's, like, if I see a 75% statistic, I notice a lot of people think that it's guaranteed. Right? I think it's guaranteed on when you see the 70% stat. It's not. Even if I'm looking at, that previous session, right? New York and next day Asia, right? 71%. So, like, when I've been trading Asia, right? Asia the other night, I was looking for shorts down to this New York area low, or this New York low. We get the short leg, right? Runs down. I would look for, like, we shorted this, right? We shorted this towards the New York low. It looks like it's stalling out down here. It pops back up. I would try it again here at this VWAP. If this doesn't break this low, like, fairly quickly, it's not going to hit that New York low. It's in that stat where it's 22% of the time it doesn't have a break, right? So I have to understand that. Here again in the previous, in this one, right? This one is another no break. I want to trade this towards, I think I wanted to trade this towards the highs. Yeah, I want to trade this towards the highs based off, I think it was based off a volume profile and a fib. This starts to move towards the highs and then it fails. Okay, I don't want to take this anymore. It gets above that upper band. When it gets above this upper band, it should trend. It should just trend directly. So I would, as this leg is forming, all right, I took the longs off this lower VWAP band. As this starts to trend up, I'm going to bring my stop to each 5-minute close. when this rejects here, now I'm thinking about this. There's probably not going to be a break of New York session. Thanks, I tend to trade the only 20% days. Okay. My mom just called me. I need to call my mom. But yeah, so like these Asia days, right? We didn't hit the lows or the highs. So like coming into Sunday, right? What do you think my expectation? I want to trade towards this New York low on Sunday Open. I want that New York low to hit. But yeah, tell her Musk was on the Epstein file. She probably already knows, bro. But here, right? We traded towards this New York low again because we have this rejection. We have this strong rejection, and this comes back up to this 0.5 fib. Right? It hits that 0.5 fib, it wicks out. I want to trade this to the lows. Yeah. Here on this range, I want to trade this back towards the highs just because it's so close to the highs. So like whichever side's closer is typically the side that I want to trade towards. Here, I would trade this towards the lows, right? Right off rip. Just like try to see if we get a leg down on that lows. But when this retests this area, all right, this retests fib and VWAP. This retests the 618 fib and VWAP. If I'm looking at this here, right, from this leg to down here, this hits the 0.5, sorry, 0.5. Hits 0.5, rejects from that upper band, and then starts to head lower. All right, it does break those lows, but I don't want to see this like pop back up at all. To me, this already did its retest. So my stop, if I got in here, my stop's going to be on this strong 5 minute, and then once this strong 5 minute prints, my stop's going to be here. So I would get stopped out on this, right? And then as this plays out, right, to me, I'm leaning towards the high break when I see this crazy wick. And when this is sustaining on the 5 minute, right, you get this push up and it's sustaining on the 5 minute, I'm not shorting here. Even though this is up at the upper VWAP band, it's sustaining on the 5 minute. It's built a base. So this is probably going to run the highs. So you could trade this, like you could take a long here, right, inside of this base. I know a lot of people, like, if I'm looking at this and I see, okay, once I see that we're basing here, I could try the long. I just want to get in at this, like, as close to the low of this base as I can, right? So if I'm looking to long this, I want to get in, like, near this candle body low. If I can't, that's okay. I just need to set my stop. I would set my stop slightly past that low. I can set it on that 5 minute body. I think that's valid. And I would just look for this New York high, right? That's 10 points. It's a solid trade, right? And then that pushes up to the New York high, sweeps out that New York high, and then you start to see your rejection, right? London, I would look to short this potentially because we wicked out at that upper VWAP band. I'd look to short this, like in here, with like my stop above that area. Not a great entry, but I'd look for like the lower VWAP band to hit. And then when this is, like, when it doesn't accept below that lower VWAP band, I would probably cut it, or below this upper VWAP band. Okay, any tips on setting a limit on London session? And the limit framing is the correlation stat. London breaks one side of Asia, low volume, no VWAP, 0.5 fib, and it doesn't have a nice structure. And then not putting, because I'm usually in class. Using limits are tricky. I personally don't use limits. Yeah, if you're setting a limit, I think I wouldn't use a low volume node necessarily. I would use your value area high, value area low. All right, even on this trade, like this one I just went through, if I'm looking at this, I want to take the range from, where's these highs at? If I'm looking to draw a volume profile, all right, I'm going to take the highs of that range. Where does it intersect? It intersects back here. So this is the volume profile I would take, like from here to here. Okay. If I'm shorting this, right, because it breaks the lower VWAP band, it's like, this is a tricky short to take. Because this bounced right off VWAP, it bounced off POC, it bounced off value area high. It's sustaining. I don't want to short it. If I'm using those confluences, if I'm just using a VWAP, then yeah, that looks fine to short, but this is sustaining that value area high. Right, and then once this grinds up, okay, now this is starting to look weak. Right, this is probably going to hit that London low. Yeah, hit the London low, sustain at that POC, and then runs back up. It's also that lower VWAP band. So I want to see the reaction off the volume profile. There's multiple different ways to use a volume profile. I personally anchor it based off range. So some people will do sessions. I'll do ranges instead. I like ranges. So like how I drew this one, I just took the highs from here and intersected it with the candles back here. So if I'm using a volume profile, right, I'm looking for, okay, I need to look at the context. What do I mean by context? Okay. You might have your value area high, your POC, your value area low, right? In this scenario, okay, when I take this short because of this lower VWAP band, or this upper VWAP band breaking, right? When I take this short up here, am I considering, oh, we just bounced out of POC, we're sustaining this value area high, we're above this value area high, do I want to short this? Right, we get down to that value area high. What do I want to see if I'm taking this short? I want to see us rejecting our value area high, or I want to see us below that value area high to give me the additional confirmation. So here, when I take this short, I think it's fine to take the short here, right, if I'm just using an upper VWAP band. But when I apply the volume profile, we get down to that value area high. If I'm looking for shorts here, I need to see it break that value area high. When this doesn't break this value area high and it sustains it, it's telling me it's going to go a little bit higher. It's going to come back up. Okay? Now, when we get here, right? Now we break below the value area high. We're below this upper VWAP band. I can try and just take this as a trend trade down to this London low. Now, this is riskier, right? It comes into this value area low. It doesn't bounce. I can trade this, right, and just have a tighter stop. I would probably put it above that upper VWAP band. So I have a 5-point stop. I'm shooting for a, like, this isn't a great RR, but you've got a confirmation in there. And then I would just adjust this down as it starts to come down to that upper, this like higher, this strong 5-minute. And then I want to see how this reacts. If this next candle prints red, okay, then I adjust the stop down here, right? Or I can be a little bit more loose with it and I can adjust it here, right above that VWAP area. Stops me out, that's okay. And then it hits that low, right? It's not a great trade. It's an okay trade, but yeah. If I'm looking at, okay, let me read comments. Yeah, doing limits is hard because it's you're trying to predict it. Adrian, I know you're in Europe. Are you trying to trade London session for gold? Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to trade. Like, are you able to trade? Like, what time do you get out of school? Like, what time is the market for you on GC? I'm out of Mint Lucy's. I gotta go to Mango. 3 p.m. school ends for you. Okay, what time New York is that? 4:30 p.m. is New York open. That's actually pretty fucking perfect, bro. Because typically the move for gold is between 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Right? So you would be able to start looking at charts at like 8 a.m. Eastern. How would you trade London time-wise? You know, New York has AM, lunch, PM, but London goes into New York AM and doesn't really have break or 2 sessions within. Okay. I'm going to use like the Asia, like the previous Asia range as. I'm just going to use the VWAPs in the Asia range, Ziki. So like if I'm trading London here, right? This pushes this lower VWAP band. You can put a volume profile on this as well. This one, personally, you can use this New York. You can use all of this, right? You could use all of this region, but since this is such a tight range, I'd probably take it from New York to here, right? To give me my like guiding bias. As this comes down to POC and this lower VWAP band, what happens? Okay, we bounce, right? What else do we have in here? We have a fib from Asia session. It's not the best fib. It's a fib though. Hits that 618. It lines up with POC. I would see if we bounce off this POC, I would take longs up to the Asia high. Because typically, what is London doing? What does London like to do in GC on London? It likes to break one side. This is the last 6 months of data. If I'm looking at like 2 years of data, the stats a little bit cleaner. 75% of the time, it's breaking one side of Asia, or it's not breaking it. All right, and this is defined as 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Right? Sweep Asia. Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking for this to sweep one side of Asia. As this comes down to this POC, this upper VWAP band, my fib, right? I want to take this towards the London highs. So as this bounces here, and when this sustains here, I'm probably thinking, okay, this isn't taking the London low. This isn't going to take the London low. Or the Asia low. So this is the trade that we took on live. This is the trade that we took on live when I was up at like 4 a.m. And I closed it a little early. I should have held it. I should have just targeted that Asia high. It would have been a clean trade, right? This trade, we took it. I took it off here. Right. This was like right where we got in. We had a pretty tight stop on this. It was like 300 points or $300. If you just target that Asia high or that high that's slightly above, right? It's a 4-to-1. And then I adjusted it up like this. Once I saw it looked clean. And then I should have left this and just let it run.
Could have held and gone to bed. Yeah. Could have. Someone in the YouTube chat,
Can you go over all your VWAPs? I just have on this for gold, I just use the VWAP auto anchored. Right? It is, if you search up VWAP, it's the first one that comes up. VWAP auto anchored. And then I just put the standard deviation bands on. Right. When this comes out, I should have just held this and just adjusted it to that wick. And then that hits. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I've talked with WAPEC. Shoot me your email. Or open a ticket with and put your email address in that. If you open a ticket in the Discord, we'll get that taken care of. get you added to circle. Bama or Georgia tonight? Roll Tide, baby. Hey, Jaron.
What's up?
Bama or Georgia tonight?
I mean, I actually don't know a lot about college football right now, but I bet Georgia kicks Alabama's ass.
Oh, Jaron's going for Georgia, bro.
Bama's just not good this year, are they?
I don't know. I haven't paid attention.
I feel like Georgia absolutely smokes Alabama.
All in on black or red. I would go black. My stats. Yeah, my stats were. I haven't tracked them recently. My issue is I keep resetting my TradeZella because I get new accounts. Actually, wait. I know the password. Fuck. Okay, there we go. This was last week. This was last week. I know my win rate fluctuates. Like, I haven't put the stats in for the rest for this week. But I know my stats typically range from a 40 to 65% win rate with a RR of anywhere from like 1.5 to like 4. So it depends, right? Like I have, let me see. I know I have screenshots of it. I have screenshots from my funded futures account. Right. This was an alpha futures account. Right? 60% win rate. This was over like 3 or 4 weeks. So 60% win rate, 1.7 RR. These are from my MyFunded Futures account. This didn't include my biggest one. So 46% win rate. This is like a 3 or 4 RR. Right? So, yeah, it fluctuates. This was back in June. This one, my funded futures is from May. This alpha futures one is from June. And then if I go back to, if I'm thinking about my top step ones from like January, it was 50% win rate to 2 to 1 RR. So it fluctuates. All right. That was the last time I took a payout. Like start of July, bro. It's been a minute. I had one lined up for. I had 2 lined up for this week, and then I fumbled it. I'm gonna make a YouTube video on that as well, going over it. All right. So let me pull up my. I mean, I'm gonna make a YouTube video on this anyway. So if I look at so this is my Tradeify stats last week, right? And then I completely went on till this week. I took way too many trades. I just hit DLL 2 days in a row. What sucks is I had the winning day on this account. On these 4 accounts, I was up 700 at one point, here, and then I just didn't lock the account. I got greedy. I went for a $2,000 winning day. But yeah, if I'm trading GC, like I'm pretty solid on it. So it sucks that I didn't get this payout. I should have. This would have been 10K, but just got to move on. I'm going to probably just focus on one account with Top Step, because I think I was talking with Eric and he was like, dude, just focus on one account. Like my biggest payouts have been when I've just focused on one account and I'm trading multiple props right now. Because I'm trying to get back, but yeah. I mean, the majority of my trades are 10 to 30 minutes with a 50% win rate. And I can go on TradeZilla. One sec. I can go on TradeZilla and I can look at... So the duration, if I'm looking at so 10 to 30 minutes, right? In there, my RR is decently high. I'm losing like 500 to 700, but I'm making anywhere from 100 to like 1700 bucks. I need to be better about tracking it, because they ended that challenge. I invested a good bit of it. Why did they end it? Because we had a conversation with the risk team. We were both cycling combines pretty quick. When is my next mentorship starting? It starts this Sunday. Harrison. On YouTube. But yeah. Yeah, I need to just do one account. I think if I just focus on one Top Step account, I'm running that bitch to 50K in like 3 weeks. Baron, how did you know you did order book spamming on Alpha Futures? Because I might have done the same. I might be cooked. How I knew is because when I requested a payout, the risk team reached out to me and said, hey, the payout you requested is going to get denied. And I was like, why? And they were like, order book spam. And I was like, okay, so I just have to trade to next payout. And they were like, yeah, but you're also going to have $20,000 removed from your trading account when you request that payout. And I was like, cool, that's fun. So they removed the funds from order book spam, and then they said you couldn't do it in a live account, and I sent them executions from a live account with me doing the exact same thing. But yeah, how many times did you do it, Alb? Only one trading? You should probably be fine, bro. Mine, it was because it was consistent, right? It was like every single trade was like that. Killer Posse, that depends on your risk tolerance, right? If you're going for less risk, I'd say like 70% in indexes, and then like 30% in between like crypto, individual stocks, stuff like that. How did I learn about Edgeful stats? I first saw them on Twitter, and then I looked into the platform, and I was like, this is a great platform. Why are they only charging $50 a month? Yeah. All right. I think I'm gonna hop off because the gym closes at... Jen, did you go to the gym? Did you go to the gym?
I did.
Do you know what time they close?
I mean, it's normally the same time on Saturday, right?
No, I think they close earlier.
Yeah.
They close at 7 p.m. Yeah, clutch. Very solid, bro. 6 months trading. You're doing solid. So, yeah, I'd try a combine, bro. I'd try a combine this week. Just did a 2-hour upper body workout, expecting nothing less from you. Well, you're gonna get less. Hate to tell you that, bro. Okay. I'm gonna hop off, but I'll see you guys later.